Hey, everybody, welcome to Wild Wednesday Live. We are back in the studio for the first time in a while. I'm Raylene from Just Notions in Quilters Haven, and my co host today.
I'm Beth from Fabric Chicks.
So today's show is going to be a little bit different than we normally do, but as always, though, we do like to start with roll call as you guys are getting signed on. I'm seeing the numbers click up, so I know you're all getting in here. And of course, all you regulars, you're already new, but if you're new to us, type in where you're watching from. We love to see that. So before we get started, I'm going to just go over some of the housekeeping real quick, and then we'll chit chat a little bit. The next the next live in-person show is actually next month at PIQF in California. Now, I won't be there, but Beth will be there with a big old beautiful booth, so you want to be sure that you check her out there. That's October 13th through the 16th. And then the following month, November 10th, 11th, and 12th, I will be in Tucson. So Wild Wednesday Live will be happening in both of those shows. In PIQF, it'll be Adele and Beth, and in Tucson, it'll be Raylene and Beth. So we're grateful to have Adele kind of as our backup host when one of us isn't able to go to the show. Let's see here. I want to make sure there's not many notes today, so I feel like I'm leaving something out. I do have even though this is not going to be a regular format show, I do have some door prizes for later on in the show. So we will be giving you the secret word later on. For those of you that might be new with us, what happens is once I give you the secret word, you're simply going to type that in the comments one time. That enters you in the drawing. And then normally right after the show, I post the winners, but it's going to have to wait till tomorrow. We've just got so much going on. So tomorrow, first thing, I will go through the whole routine. I will get the winners, and we will post them right here on the Wild Wednesday Live Facebook page. So, and if you are a winner, it'll tell you there how to redeem it. So just read the information carefully. So today, the fall is always crazy for vendors. There are shows all over the country going on. There are shop hops everywhere. There are retreats everywhere. So vendors are way too crazy busy to come on Wild Wednesday Live. So what Beth and I thought we would do is we would take this opportunity for us to give you some stuff. And before we do that, though, Beth's been kind of monitoring the comments, so I'll let her give some shout outs to you guys.
Oh my gosh, we've got people from all over. I think Cynthia's the furthest from Erie, Pennsylvania. Phyllis is probably the closest to me. She's like a few miles away. Linda ABC in Washington, Phyllis in Colorado, Carolyn and Karen in California. I mean, there's just so many of them. It's kind of nice to see all the old familiar names.
Yeah, when I see Suzanne, one of our favorite vendors from Calico Cupboard, has tuned in. So hi, Suzanne. It's good to see you. Or not to see you, but to see your name.
Right. Well, Carol Reichlich might be a close second for furthest away on geographically challenged. So I'm not sure if Virginia or Pennsylvania is furthest away.
Yeah, it's probably kind of a toss-up, depending on where we're basing it from.
Right. Hey,
well,
come on, how are you?
Oh, hi, Judith, first-time watcher from Sacramento. Welcome.
How did you hear about us, Judith?
Just type that in.
Probably at the Roseville show, I think.
I'm thinking maybe. Doesn't that seem like it was a million years ago?
Yes, it seems like I've done a million things since then. I'm exhausted.
I know, it's been crazy. And of course, a lot of people saw on Facebook that we had the storm the day before Labor Day. So we've been trying to do that cleanup and get all the insurance claims and all that stuff done on top of trying to keep everything going. So
Right. That's been crazy.
Beth and I are both in perpetual behind.
I know.
We always say
no rest for the wicked. I'm not really
sure pretty much. I hear that too. I always tell everybody I'm so far behind that I actually thought I was in first place. I just didn't realize everybody had come up from behind me and passed me again.
Exactly. Yep. Oh, Judith says a flyer at the Roseville Quilt Show.
Awesome.
Good. It's always good for us to know how you guys find out about us.
Oh, and there's another first time. Hi, Mary Lynn. Is it Socha? Welcome.
From Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Cool. Well, we're glad to have all you guys. So this is what's going to happen today. So I hear all the time people saying, that they aren't anywhere near where we have a show. So they never get to take my class that I do at the Rusty Barn Quilt Craft and Sewing Festivals. So I thought it might be fun if I just did my class that I usually do at the show. And that way you can see what I do and you won't be missing anything. Does that sound good?
I think that's perfect, Raylene.
Yeah.
And I'm not going first because I'm gonna go plan whatever it is I'm gonna demo after.
Yeah, so I'll take a few minutes and do this, Beth, so you can figure something to do. Yeah. She's really got something she's teasing. All right, Beth, we'll pick back with you in a few minutes here.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, so I am going to do this just as if you were sitting in front of me at one of the shows, and I'll be just kind of holding things up so that you can see them. Now, I do want to mention that everything that I show you today is on our website, which is scrolling at the bottom of the, well, I will be scrolling at the bottom of the screen here in just a second. And if you click on the category Raylene's Favorites, everything I am showing you is in that category. And from after the show today until midnight on Friday, all the items in that category are going to be 20% off since I'm kind of featuring them. Now, I kind of blew it because we've been so nuts with all the insurance adjusters and everything. I just told our wonderful webmaster, Ruthie, or as you regulars know, we call her Siri. I just texted her 3 minutes ago and said, I think I forgot to have you put that category on sale. So don't worry if you key in your items and it gives you your total and it doesn't give the discount. It doesn't actually charge your card until I physically do it. So I will make sure you get that 20% off. In addition, for anybody that does order after the show today from me, there'll be a little extra gift with purchase. All right, so welcome to the Wild Wednesday live version of Notions You Need, but maybe didn't know it. I'm Raylene Salazar, and my husband Ron and I own the company Quilters Haven and Just Notions, and we are based out of Fort Mojave, Arizona. Now, if you wonder where that's at, you just go to the middle of nowhere and turn left. But actually, we're about 20 minutes from Needles, California, right off Highway 40. We are at the Colorado River by Bullhead City and Laughlin. We are going to be in just about a month and a half starting our 40th year in the quilting industry. Now, I know what y'all are thinking. Oh my goodness, she must have been 2 years old when she started this. Well, actually, I was 2.5, but okay, insert laughter here, because usually if you would be at the show, you'd be giggling. So, but anyway, we've been doing this for a long time, and it really occurred to us not long ago that we've really seen a huge evolution in the quilting industry over those 40 years. When my mom, who started the business, opened her first shop 40 years ago, there was not even really anything, such a thing as a quilt show. It was a couple of years before guilds started getting together and doing what we now know as guild quilt shows. And then, years down the road when the promoters took over and we started having our bigger shows. So that's kind of, how we came about. Now, we are also, besides being a Notions vendor, we are also a ruler manufacturer. We manufacture a lot of the acrylic rulers and tools, not only that we sell in our booth, but we also manufacture for a lot of other quilt shops and designers and teachers as well. So we got a pretty full plate, even though we don't have a physical store like Beth has to deal with every day. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to share with you what I consider to be some of my favorite must-have notions. And it's always fun for me to share with you that some of the best tools are also some of the least expensive. You do not have to spend a fortune on your tools to be a quilter. Now, if you want to, you certainly can, but you don't have to. And if you take good care of your tools, even your little inexpensive ones, they should last you a lifetime. Okay, so today I'm going to start by talking about, and I'm going to do my best to grab these and then get back in the camera view here. I want to talk about sewing machine needles, and I've got a little bit of a glare here, so I'm going to try to tip them a little bit. Now, sewing machine needles, I carry Schmetz brand, and the reason is I love them. That's what I use, so that's what I sell, but they've also been around forever. It's a German company. They're very good quality, and they're universal to all machines. Now, I carry all of the standard sewing machine needles, and those are found on our website. And by the way, that is the one exception to what I'm showing you today. The needles are not in the My Favorite category. they are in the regular needle category, but you will also be able to get 20% off all of our sewing machine needles as well. But I want to talk real quick about a particular type of sewing machine needles. Now, these have only been out for a few years in the general retail realm, and they're called chrome needles. And you may not be familiar, although you may have seen them in different shops. Why would you need a chrome needle? Well, chrome needles have been around forever, but in industrial sewing use. So what happens is when you're sewing fast, the faster you're sewing, the more friction the needle, going up and down causes, so it gets hot. And when that happens, that's when you tend to have missed or skipped stitches. The chrome needles don't heat up like a conventional needle was. So if you have a newer sewing machine that's sewing, really quickly, you might want to think about switching to the chrome needles so that you don't get that heat or that friction. Especially if you have an embroidery machine, where you just hit the button and it goes 10,000 miles an hour as you walk away and go do something else. We do have the chrome needles in all the basic styles: universal, top stitch, microtex, quilting, all those embroidery, all those different needles as well in the chrome variety. Now, another really great needle that Schmetz came out with, actually just probably about a year before our shutdown, and these have been a game changer. So show of hands if you use fusibles, okay? Oh, yep, I see all your hands going up out there. A lot of quilters do so quite often with fusible. But the problem when we're sewing with fusibles is, how you're going along and all of a sudden your needle starts getting gunky. So you take it out, you try to clean it off, and after a few minutes of frustration, you throw it in the trash and you get out a new needle. Well, these needles have been an absolute game changer for using fusibles, and they are the Schmetz Super Non-Stick needles. These needles are dipped or coated rather with a little layer of Teflon. So when you're sewing with fusibles, or even if you have adhesive Velcro that has the sticky on one side, even on those, your needle is not going to get all gunky. So these are amazing if you are sewing with fusibles. And we have all the popular sizes. So we have them in 10, 12, 14, and 16. So those, again, are all in the needle category on the website. Now, also, if you do buy sewing machine needles from me anytime, I always include this little free needle book. And if any of you have seen me at the shows and you've taken the class, I always tell you, grab one of those free books that are on the table over there. This is really super handy to have. And it's just a little guidebook because all of Schmetz needles are color coordinated. In other words, there's a little colored band or two on them that tell you what type of needle it is and what size. So maybe sometime or another you have a needle and it's out of your package and you don't know which one it is. Inside the little needle book, there is a chart, and again, I know we're getting a little bit of a glare, but there's a chart that will tell you what needle that was. And then there's also all kinds of great information front and back that tells you their recommendations for what type or size needle you should use for different types of textiles. So again, if you buy sewing machine needles, I always throw one of these little books in for you for free because it's a super great guide to have. Okay. So hang on, I'm getting out of camera here because I need to grab a sip of water. Okay, next I would like to talk about marking. Now, the thing with marking is that, you know what, Shirley, I'll check that after the show. The thing with marking is there's not a one size fits all. Beginners often come up to me at the show and say, okay, I don't have a marking tool. Which one should I get? Well, sadly, with marking, everybody is going to find that they're going to need 3 or 4 different marking tools depending on what marking you're doing. So there's tons and tons of them out there, but I'm going to share with you right now my 4 favorites. These are the 4 that I use all the time. Starting with one of the very, very best things for marking on fabric, which is a sharp number 2 pencil. Just a regular old writing pencil. These work great on fabric. But the problem we tend to have is when you sharpen them in a regular pencil sharpener, when the pencil's sharp, the lead tends to be kind of long and thin. So when you put that extra pressure on your fabric, you tend to break the end of it off. By using a better pencil sharpener, then you eliminate that problem. And that's this one right here. This is a German steel magnesium blade sharpener. And the difference is when the pencil's sharp, the end is more blunt, so you're not going to break it off quite as easily. Now, this is the only thing that I use for regular writing pencils, colored art pencils. quilter fabric marking pencils, and ladies, your eyebrow pencil. You will be shocked how much more use you get out of a pencil when it's not all going in the trash can. Because once you sharpen your pencil with this guy, when you need to resharpen it, it's only going to take 3 or 4 twists to get it sharp again. These are $2.99. And I'm going to tell you, I have one in my makeup bag that I've lost track, but it's at least 12, maybe 14 years old, and it's still sharp as can be. This sharpener is better than anything I ever paid $12 to $15 at a cosmetic counter for. So again, $2.99 for our sharpener. Next, another terrific marking tool that I cannot say enough about is the Bowen Mechanical Chalk Pencil. This is a 0.9 lead, so it is the truest, finest line out there. Whether you're marking, like right up against your rulers or your templates, inside quilting stencils, that beautiful fine line will do a great job for you. Now, they come with white leads, and then if you get a package of the green refills to go with it, you've got all your light and darks covered. I have never had something one of these does not show up on. Now, the best thing about this is when you need to remove the marking. First of all, that line is so fine, that 0.9 line, unless you get off your sewing line, you never have to remove it. But if you do have to take it out, this is a fabric eraser on the end of the pencil, and it just erases right out because this is a non-oil-based ceramic chalk. So again, that's the Bowen Mechanical Chalk Pencil. The pencils are $13.95. That comes with a full package of white leads to go with it, and then the green leads are $8.99. Okay, another favorite marking tool, and probably a lot of you guys are already using these. Normally I'd say raise your hands if you're using frictions. So go ahead and do that because I can see you. Not really, but but anyway, the friction pins are a 0.7 lead, and it's a special kind of gel ink that to remove the line, you simply just go right on top of it with your warm iron, and the line disappears. Now, I will tell you, sometimes when that item gets cold, part of that line might come back. It's not going to 100% come back. You might get a little bit here and there. And if that happens, you just hit it with your iron again. I have never had it come back a third time, and I've never really heard of anybody that's had it come back a third time. Now, here's my little tip on the friction pins. When you're not using them, store them in the refrigerator. If you do, that keeps them from drying out as quickly, and they will last much longer. Now, they come in, right now, what's available, there's 4 different colors. They come in black, blue, purple, or red. And we do have all 4 of those colors in stock. They did used to have pink and orange, but they've discontinued from my distributors. They've stopped carrying them. But you really didn't need those anyway, because with the frictions, the downside to friction pins is they are only for marking our light to medium fabrics. The technology that they use for this particular type of ink, they can't do a white. I mean, I wish they could, but again, remember I said there's not one marking tool that's going to work on everything. But for your mediums and your light fabrics, they are beautiful. I not only have them singly like this for $2.99, we do also have a multi-pack that has a couple of colors you don't usually find loose, that I can't actually even buy loose, but they still do have that pink and orange one in there, as well as a light green. And there's 8 in here for $23.89. And again, these are all under Raylene's favorites on our website. Now, another, and the 4th favorite marking tool is called Chalk-A-Liner. Oops, I keep holding it in the wrong place, and I know better. Chalk-A-Liners have been out for over 35 years, and they are still probably my absolute favorite of any marking tool. I actually thought I had one open out here. Let me open this one so you can see it better. But it's just a loose powdered chalk. So it's not for marking an entire quilt. It is just for marking, the area that you're working on right there at the time. But what it is get it up here. See how it's got that little tapered edge? I'll try to, there we go. Inside that little tapered edge, there's a wheel. And see, try to get up here so you can see it. But of course, the color doesn't help either. But it's just a real fine line. And I'm going to try to find something I can mark on here that's dark. Hang on just a second. It just dispenses a real fine line, there we go, of loose powder chalk. You see right there? And again, that little wheel is kind of pushing it down into the fiber of the fabric. So it's not like you're going to mark it and then barely rub your hand over it and it's going to disappear. It is going to stay, for that immediate area. Again, these are also terrific either right along the edge of your templates or your rulers or whatever, your squares, but also right up inside if you're doing quilting design stencils. Now, chalk liners are refillable. The lid screws off, and then a refill package. And I didn't bring one of these. They're all still in the van, but it comes 2 little bottles, so 2 refills in a package. And they come in 4 colors. Now, they come in 4 colors, but you don't need 4. You actually just need, whoops, I'm dropping stuff everywhere. Oh, here we go. You're only going to need a maximum of 2 of these, unless you just want all 4. I always tell everybody, you want to do either, where are we at here? Either the pink or the blue, and either the white or the yellow. And you'll have all your light and darks covered. Now, I always caution everybody about yellow marking tools. And it doesn't matter what kind of yellow tool it is, what kind of brand. There is something in yellow dye that often does not come out. So if you're using yellow, which I know I love it too because it's easy to see, but with yellow, be sure you are always testing it first. I tend to only use my yellow when I'm marking the back side where I know it's not going to show. Now, what's really great about the chalk liners is if you're only going to do one, you can do the blue and probably mark 95% of all your light and darks with it because it's that medium blue color. So that's the most versatile one. Now, another super fun thing about chalk liners, how many times have you been trying to find something that will mark on something more porous? Felt, flannel, minky, cuddle. Those things are impossible to mark on, but chalk liner works beautiful, especially on minky. If you're trying, maybe you're with all the Halloween costumes people will be doing, you might be, using a lot of felt. This marks beautifully on felt. Now, the last thing I do want to say about the chalk liners is there are 2 styles. So this one that I've been holding up, this is the original, or not even the original. This is the second version that came out probably 30 years ago. But a few years ago, they came out with what they now call the pin style. The difference is the pin style, it's the same marking wheel. The wheel is exactly the same. But the pin style, it's longer and thinner, where the initial one was a little shorter and stubbier. But the biggest difference is the price. The regular ones are $7.35. The pin style are $9.50, so over $2 more. And honestly, I don't see the value in paying more unless you just want to, or perhaps you just feel like you might like that thinner, longer style. Because the other downside is the refills, because I think, like I said, I forgot to bring a couple refills off the truck, but a package of 2 refills for this style, I think is like $4.99. Where 1 refill on the pin style is $5.25. So again, it's a lot more money, but I do carry them all. And Joyce commented she likes the gray. That is the one big upside to the pin style is they do a gray, and gray is a terrific versatile color as well, but they only do it in the pin style if you like the gray. Okay, so that was marking on your quilt where you have to take it out. But what about signing your quilts? I always tell everybody, I'm sorry if I keep looking down, it's because I'm looking at my monitor to make sure I'm holding stuff in front of me so you can see it. But I always tell everybody, no matter how bad a job you did on an item that you make, you still need to sign it. Because we're our worst critics, but someone 50, 75, 100 years from now is going to have that item and wonder where it came from. So always take the time to sign. Now, the things that I always say you should put on the back of your quilt are your name, the date you completed it, where you were, and if you know the pattern. So for instance, I would put Raylene Salazar, September, whatever today is, I have no clue. Fort Mojave, Arizona, Drunkard's Path pattern. Just those are the types of things people would like to know. And remember, if someone gets a hold of an item you made that maybe you weren't that happy with, but they're not a sewer or a quilter, to them, you're a genius. So never underestimate the happiness that someone is going to get that doesn't sew when you make them a quilted or a homemade sewn item. Now, the pins that I recommend for signing, and whether you're going to sign directly on the back of the quilt, if you're going to sign on a piece of muslin or fabric and then stitch it down, or if you've got some quilt labels, I like the Pigma Micron pins. Now, we've had permanent laundry markers by Sharpie and other companies for years and years, and they're great. They're permanent. They're not going to wash out. But the problem is, even with the fine Sharpie, when we're going to sign our quilt, we're usually writing really nice and slow because we want it to be neat. And when you do that really slow with a Sharpie laundry marker, it's going to bleed. With the microns, because we sell the super, super fine points, you can take your time and write. And if you have any bleed of the ink, it is very, very minimal. So these are on the website as well. They are $2.99 each, and they come, I don't even know what colors are on there, but I do know we've got black, blue, red. Hang on, I got brown. I just got these in today, so I know I've got black, red, blue, brown. So if, again, you can always email me through the website if you're not seeing what you're looking for, because, again, we were so rushed to get ready with everything, and then our home inspector came like less than an hour before it was time for the show, so I didn't get to finish getting all of it together. But anything I tell you, I'm going to honor 100%. So if you don't see a color you want, email me through the website and say, hey, have you got this color in? Because, again, I got in a whole bunch of them today. So, okay, so that's marking. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about pins. Now, being a Notions vendor, I sell lots of different pins, lots of different styles of pins. But I only use one brand for the most part, and that's Annie's Choice. Annie's Choice pins are my favorite because they never have a snag, they never have a burr, they're sharp, they're fine. I love them. And my favorite of all their pins are their glass head silk pins. And one of the reasons I love the glass head silk pins is they're only 1 3/8 long. So many of our quilting pins are so long now that they get in the way. These are long enough for probably 99% of what you would do. And they come in either a red or a white head. And I was going to tell you how much they are. Ron, how much are these now? See that brown box right in front of you? They're never mind. I think they're $7.99 for 250 pins. Again, they come in a red or white head. And then they also, if you do need the longer pins, we also have the 1 7/8 in those glass head silk pins as well. So they're all beautiful pins. $8.99. I just saw it on the other one. So they're $8.99 each for whether the longer or the shorter ones. Now, you want to make sure too that you are always storing your pins in a wool pin cushion. The natural lanolin and wool is what keeps your pins sharp and shiny for years. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is one of your first floor projects is maybe make yourself a cute little pin cushion, but stuff it with batting scraps. So if there's any beginners out there, you don't want to do that because the batting is actually what dulls your pins and needles. So instead of making a pin cushion, you made a pin duller, and you don't need one of those. So if you are making your homemade pin cushion, be sure you stuff it with felted wool. And if you have trouble finding that, one of our favorite vendors, Carriage Country Quilts, who does all the shows with us, they are based out of Washington. They have a website. They are a wool company, and they sell scrap bags of wool. And I think it's only like $8 or $9. There's probably enough for 2 pin cushions. But again, that's Carriage Country Quilts. You can look them up. They're actually, if you don't find their website, you can email me through the website and I'll hook you up with Deb. But that's such a good deal, the scraps that they sell. But I do have them already made. You don't even have to make one. These are made by the Gypsy Quilter, and they are $16.99. And they last forever. I've got a couple that are probably, 20 years old that are getting pinned and unpinned all the time, and they're still nice and solid. They aren't coming apart. But just remember, when you use a wool pin cushion, every time you take your pin in and out, you're sharpening it as well. Is there anybody out there that can't see to thread a needle? That would be me. One of my favorite types of needle threaders has always been the old-fashioned wires. And, you put the wire through the eye, you drop your thread through, you pull it back through, and boom, it's threaded. But the problem I have is I would thread my needle, toss that over in my little sewing basket, and then when I went to get it the next time, it gets all tangled up and I'd bend or break the wire. I never wore one out. I always broke or bent them with carelessness. Well, the needle beetle solved that problem for me because there's a little button. So when you're done threading your needle, you push the button back and the wire goes inside to protect it. When you're ready to thread your needle, you push the button out to the other side and the wire pops out. But look what else happens. For those of us who cannot see, look what else happens. When I push that button out, there is my light and it's shining right on the eye of the needle so that I can see the eye of the needle to poke my little wire through, drop there, and pull back. Then when you pull the button back, the wire goes inside and it turns the light out. So needle beetles come in either orange, pink, or yellow. I had to think a minute. And they are $5.49. And it's an LED light, so it's never going to burn out. You're going to probably wear out the wire long before you burn the light out. But even that's not going to happen for a long time. All right. If you ever get gunk on the bottom of your iron and it won't come off, unless, of course, you're ironing a white shirt or blouse, whatever that's about. This is one of my favorite iron cleaners. There's a couple of different products I sell, but this is my go-to, and it's the Bowen Iron Cleaning Stick. And the way it works is you just turn your iron onto cotton dry setting, no steam, cotton dry, but allow the iron to heat all the way up. Then put a piece of paper towel underneath of your iron. You take the stick out of the little case, you rub that on that gunk that's on the iron and it melts right off. That's why we tell you to put a paper towel under it. I saved a very expensive iron that I had tried everything and nothing cleaned it off because I had baked Wonder Under on it. I mean, baked it on. And this took it off when nothing else did. Now, this is $5.90, and you can probably clean your iron 5 or 6 times with a stick, depending on how gunky you get it. I've actually never used up an entire stick, so I know it's going to last you for a while. All right. I ran in the house like 4 different times to my sewing room to get the sample of this and forgot it every time I went in there because I kept getting sidetracked. But this is called thread braid, and I'm going to open this one up because it doesn't make any sense if I don't show you how it is. And now I have about 20 of them open. I think I need to bag them up and put them in the sale bin at the show. Sale bin, rather. All right. So thread braid is 270 pieces of thread, which have already been cut for you. These nice long pieces. And what you do is you hold it between your fingers, tap, tap, tap on the top to kind of separate it. You find that one piece of thread you want. And while you're holding that between your fingers, you pull out that piece of thread. And I don't know if you can kind of see it maybe in front of my shirt, but there's that piece of thread and you're ready to start sewing, whether you're sewing on a button, maybe you're doing a little mending or hemming, but also applique. Great for your handwork. So our great grandmothers actually used to hand braid their thread like this. Of course, now it's done by machine. But again, you're getting 270 pieces for $4.35. So it's called thread braid, or sometimes they call it thread plait. Love it. Another tip, I'm all tongue-tied today. Another tip with your braid is once you take it out of the package, if you simply roll it up small, stick a needle in it, and stick it in a prescription pill bottle, you've got a sewing kit with you at all times with any color you might need to do a quick fix or mend. Okay, this next item, I know none of you guys have ever seen one of these before, and you probably didn't even know, if you did see one, you had no idea what it was used for or what it was even called. But I wanted to share this with you because the holidays are coming, so people are looking for secret pal gifts or little stocking stuffers. So you might have a friend that has a use for this particular tool. Now, the technical term or the technical name for this, and it's really difficult to say, but I'm going to give it my best shot. It's called a seam ripper. I know you're all going, I've never heard of one of those. Because I know none of you guys have ever had to rip out, right? Haha. That was another joke. You can laugh. We all at some time have to rip out. And this is my absolute favorite seam ripper. It's the surgical steel seam ripper. Now, the reason I love it is because it's a little thin piece of metal, but the ripper is actually in the hook on the end. So even if you just backstitch the dickens out of something, this will get in there and take it out. Now, a lot of times people will say, because it's just a little thin piece of metal, that maybe they might have trouble hanging on to it. If that's you, all you have to do is tape it or glue it to a popsicle stick, and that will give you more to hang on to without it getting in the way. These are $4.50, and again, it's my absolute favorite. Okay, just a couple more items. So once you use your seam ripper and you break all your threads, then what do you have to do? Yep, you got to pick them all out. And that's what gets tedious. Well, this particular tool, this is called Seam Fix. Seam Fix is, first of all, it is a seam ripper, but I'm going to tell you, it's not a real good one. I mean, it's an okay one. It's just not a high quality seam ripper. It's an okay seam ripper, but I don't care because I don't even use the seam ripper part because I use my surgical steel. Where this tool is great is after you've broke all the threads and you have to pick them out, instead of sitting there and picking them all out, you take this little rubber ball, you simply roll it over those threads and it yanks them out in a matter of seconds and you're back to sewing. The first time I had to use this guy, it was worth every penny. These sell for $8.50 and they come in blue, pink, and purple, and I have all three colors in stock. So again, that's called Seam Fix. Now, we talked earlier about how great that little needle beetle needle threader is, and people will ask me often at the show, can I use it on my sewing machine? You can, but remember when you're threading your machine, you have to be able to put your needle threader from behind because you want to pull the thread back through. So you can. I always tell everybody you have to be kind of a contortionist to do it. But here's what I love for the sewing machine. These little guys right here, they are called loop needle threaders. Basically, it's the old-fashioned wires, but it has about half of that little piece right there is actually a loop, and it's flexible. So it's easy to do your sewing machine coming from behind because they are so nice and flexible and thin. These come 6 in a package for $8.99, and I love, love, love them. And I'm thinking as I'm talking, these may not be in the Raylene's favorites section, but I will get Ruth to get those in there as soon as we can. I don't know if she's on watching today, but if she is, hey Siri, I need these. I need you to go to work. But if not, I will get that to her right as soon as I can. So some of you guys, you might just want to wait until tomorrow if you are going to go online and look for some of these items because, like I said, we just got really crazy with all the insurance adjusters and everybody coming today right before the show, so I didn't get to finish having Ruth get everything taken care of for me. Okay, another product I love is called Heat Press. We always say that we don't like to throw away our fabric scraps, especially as expensive as fabric's getting, but batting's getting expensive as well. So we want to try to use those scraps as often as we can. Now, Heat Press, as you can tell, it is, I always forget how wide it is. It's 1.5 inches wide, 15 yards on the roll, and it's a bonding agent for your batting. So basically, you would just take your 2 pieces of batting and just butt them up end to end, right? Edge to edge. Then you're going to put a strip of heat press so that it's halfway on each piece. Put a pressing cloth on it, take your warm iron and let it sit on it for a minute, and that will fuse it together. So here's a piece that I did, and you can see the strip in the middle. Don't laugh that I ran in the house and did this real quick because I couldn't find my sample and I got it on there all crooked. But I will tell you, when this product first came out, we really ran it through the ringer because we wanted to be sure that it was everything they said it was. And I'm going to tell you, after multiple washings, dryer, it stays soft, it stays flexible. You don't even feel it inside of your quilt. You can hand quilt, machine quilt. We tried everything, and it really is a superior product. Now at the shows, I always have one of these out in the booth, and everybody comes up and does this because they want to see if it'll come apart. Well, of course, when you pull on it, see how the batting is separating, but the heat press is not letting go. So I always tell, oh yeah, Siri's on. I just saw her there. I always tell the customers, they'll say, well, do I need to put a second strip on the back? No, that's a waste of your product because I'm not sure, but I'm like 99% positive. Once you get all your quilt together and this is sandwiched in the middle, that you're not going to open it up so you can pull your batting apart, right? So you don't have to worry. No one's going to be doing this once it's inside your quilt. So it's going to hold together really, really well. Again, that's 15 yards on the roll. It's 1.5 inches wide for $9.99. Now, one more thing I want to share with you before we let Beth do her thing today is my favorite grip hearts or grip dots. These come in hearts or circles, and they are for putting on the back of your rulers so they don't slip and slide. Now, people ask me all the time because we do make rulers and squares and everything, if ours are the ones that have the non-slip material on the back. And no, they're not. That is another company. And I will tell you, those are also much, much more expensive than our tools are. Now, first of all, though, our tools are laser etched. They are not screen printed. So that means all the lines and writing are etched directly into the acrylic. So that makes it kind of rough on the backside. So that helps to grip right off the bat. But if you just put a couple of these, you notice on my little ruler here, I have one on each end and one of the little centerpieces there in the middle. That is more than enough to hold this ruler. The reason I love these two is they're thin, very, very thin. There are products out there on the market that seem like they're great, but if you look at them, they're a little bit thick. And if it's thick and you put it on your ruler, what's going to happen is it's going to raise it up off your fabric. So if you're not careful when you're marking or cutting, you might actually be underneath of the ruler or the template. So that's why I love Grip Dots. Again, they come 24 in a package, and they say 24, but inside the hearts, like for example, you also had, get it in the right place. See that little tiny heart that I put? Let me turn around here. Right there. That was the center of the bigger heart. So if you use the center pieces and the outside pieces, you've got 48 pieces for $5.99. So not only are they great, but they're very inexpensive to use. And again, they come in hearts and circles. So that's pretty much what I had to share with you. Normally I would tell you, now if you follow me back to the booth, I can answer all your questions, but hold any questions that you might have. I'm just seeing from Siri, from Ruthie, that she's got everything on that I've been telling her as we go. She's so awesome. I'd be lost without her. But again, if you do go on the site later and you don't see something, just email me through the contact us, and I will get back to you probably tomorrow morning, because like you guys know, as soon as the show's over every week, Ron and I dash off to church because we do the worship music, so we have to kind of change gears. So, but tomorrow, first thing I'll do is do the drawing, which we're going to talk about in a minute, and answer any questions you might have had. But again, if you do have questions right now, just hang on to those. After Beth does her presentation, we'll both come back on and answer any questions. So, all right, let me see if Beth is still there. Beth, you here? I see her picture. I don't hear her voice.
Okay, I'm here.
There she is. So Beth, I'm going to turn it over to you and you can do your thing.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we'd like to welcome you guys. We have a lot going on in the shop. I know we're always doing a million and one things. So I just want to show you before, I'm going to do a really fun demo for these placematties. Brenda, thank God she showed up. And I said, hey, why don't you help me with this demo real quick? So like an hour ago, we decided to do this demo, but I am going to show you another thing. And I know I've shown you this before, this 60-degree ruler. So those are the two things I'm going to demo for you, but I just want to let you know, because I know a lot of you don't follow me on my personal Facebook page, Fabric Chicks Creative Oasis. It is, we do a live sale. So over here, we're getting ready on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock. So we'll hold all of this up like the Home Shopping Network. Lots of sales, lots of good ideas, lots of inspiration. But I do want to also let you guys know that we have a free Zoom class September 29th. This was our shop hop block. So it has dimensional artsy confetti leaves here. It has yarns, and it's not Fabric Magic anymore, but it's now Steam and Stitch, which is a product, a new product out on the market, which we put inside the trees. The Steam and Stitch is one of my favorite products for landscapes. So this, to learn all these artsy techniques, is a free Zoom with the purchase of the pattern, which has all of the supplies that you need. But it's kind of fun because once you learn those techniques, we took it and we embellished this tote bag pattern with those exact same techniques. So once you have the tools in your toolbox, you can really do anything with it. So that's kind of a fun one we've got coming up. We've got a free Zoom this Sunday. We're making witches' legs, which are right here, these cute little witches' legs. We do have kits for those. So I think that's all that's going on in the shop at the moment. Who needs to breathe or sleep? That's totally overrated. So what I'm going to show you is the 60-degree ruler real quick. I've shown you this before. The 60-degree ruler looks like this. And for those of you who don't know me, we put little numbers S119 with pricing so that you can just put those in the comments, or you can join us on our sale at 4 and we'll show this again. But so Raylene just made me my very own Fabric Chicks 60-degree ruler, because if you follow us, you know we demo this a lot. We do the one block wonder with this. We do the one block wonder using a panel with this, and the easy border prints that you can turn into pillows. You can turn them into all kinds of fun stuff. So, so this is the ruler. Look at here. It's so exciting. My name in writing. Best Easy Border Fabric Tool. So exciting. Thank you, Raylene, for making that for me. So, so anyways, with the border prints, you need, this is what they consider a border print. It has 4 repeats, okay? So depending on how long your table is, we have a couple of patterns that you can make longer in case you have a table that seats 83 people. Or most people just need a yard or a yard and a half. So depending on how big you want to make it. You're going to cut the strips. So you're going to find where the repeat is, and you're going to cut the strips. So you'd cut this, the width of your fabric. So this would be 1 strip. This would be 2 strips. Once you have your strips cut, you're going to use your 60-degree triangle, and you're going to cut your out of your 1-yard piece that would look like this. I didn't have time. Like, we're lucky we just found this. So this would be your this would be the 1-yard strip that you cut, or 1.5-yard strip. So this would be your strip before it's cut. Then you're going to use this triangle, and you're just going to cut it, you know, this way. And then once that one's cut, you're going to flip it around, cut this way. Once that's done, you're going to flip it over, cut this way. Once that's done, you get the idea. And then once they're all cut, you're going to lay them out however your pattern shows you. So this is one that Ann Lindenmeyer made for us with some of the fabric she bought from us for a little table mat. We can put a candle in the center. And then we have several different patterns. So this is a big circular one. I'm going to show you. I have it partially done, but you can make, this is the one that you can extend for however long your table is. And then this is if you want to make a big kaleidoscopic quilt. You can do this very simple. You just need to have the repeats of your fabric. And then here's a fun one that we've done a billion times. So this is actually the leftovers from what Ann made from this. So this is here. I've got all of my triangles, and this one was a bigger triangle. So you could adjust it to the size that you need. So this was a bigger triangle that we used, and we are sewing it together to create this. So when it's done, I've got it half done, I think, or maybe 2/3 of the way done. When it's done, it's going to be this pattern. So it will flip around and rotate like this. Okay, so that is our spiel on the 60-degree triangle ruler. But then this morning when Brenda came in, I said, oh, let's make one of these, because I've been meaning to get this sample done forever. So this is interfacing. Here, this is the interfacing, and I love it because all the hard work is done for you. So I don't know if you can see because Roger's not moving to me, so I'll move to him. So this is the interfacing. Can you see the writing on there? Okay, so that's your interfacing. And if you use this fun little product, you're going to get a fun placemat like this. So we do have kits for these. I don't know what the price is because we haven't put it together yet because we literally just made it. But you're going to take this interfacing and you're going to cut the pieces the size that it says. So I think they were 10 inches by 14. So this here was the center here. See how that matches up there? So that was that center. And then just because it's kind of time consuming and boring and you all know how to sew, I hope, I just went around and stitched, and I stitched it in yellow so you could see it, but you can't really see it. Maybe you can see this line better. So I just went around and stitched it. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, number one, slow your machine down. Okay, I like to go as fast as I can go, but it's hard to get around these curves. So just, I put my my engine on like half speed so that it forced me to slow down so I could go around these curves nicely. So what you're going to do is when you have this interfacing, you're going to lay it down on your backing you're going to lay it down on the fabric that goes this one, your outer edge fabric. So you're going to lay it on your outer edge fabric, and just like this, right? And I know this seems really wrong, but there's a line here, and you're going to slice right through here, okay? With your rotary cutter, you're going to slice through here, and it's going to cut your interfacing and your border print. So you can see here how I've got a little slice here. And then I cut out this piece and stitched it around here. So I've got my interfacing on here. I did not, well, Brenda did not, because Brenda's helping me. So Brenda didn't cut this edge so that you guys could see it in the demo. So this is sliced open so that it's easy to turn. And then she's just cut around here on there's a little dotted line. We're just going to cut real quick. These were super fun. Literally, we decided, well, Brenda's more realistic than me, because to me it took me 5 minutes because I was doing 20 things at once. But she says you can easily do these, and the first one's going to take you about a half hour, and then maybe like 20 minutes a piece. So you can do them. You can use a focal print. You could use a panel and really fussy cut it. And then you see here how it's been clipped. So it's got a little line here of where to clip it. So you want super sharp scissors so that you can clip it right where it says, but don't clip into your thread line. And then let's see, this one needs to be clipped still. Okay, so then we're going to flip this inside out. And the fusible is right here. So it's going to get ironed onto my second piece. So it gives you a really finished look. And then you're going to want something like this that's going to push out your corners. Do you have any comments, Roger? I could answer questions while I'm doing this. Don't use your really pointy one, your pointy side, because it might pop it through. You could also shorten your stitch length. That might help also.
I don't see a comment box.
You don't? Oh, here, let me show you. Oh, no, because, okay. It's the wrong setup. Okay. So this just gets turned inside out like this. And then it takes a little bit of maneuvering to get it to be nice. And then I use double-sided fusible batting. And I ironed the double-sided fusible onto my backing fabric. So the backing of the placemat is, I've got the double-sided fusible, I've got my backing, and then I've got my outside edge here. Okay, let's see. So I'm not going to actually sew this all the way around in this demo because you guys get the idea, but I will finish this demo next Monday on our regular Fabric Chicks Facebook. So on Mondays at 4, we do demos and techniques pretty much every Monday at 4, as long as we're not doing something else, like a show or something, you know, driving 13 hours. Okay, so you can see how this just turns really nicely. And then this is the fusible. So I don't really want to iron it yet, but I will say that if your iron is super hot, and you want to pay attention if your fabric is directional, but if your iron's really hot, then you might want to use a pressing sheet. If you don't have a pressing sheet, get one. I use it a lot, especially if you go to classes. You're going to want to use it because you don't know if somebody else has gotten gunk on the iron. So just get your own pressing sheets. But just because I like to teach you from my lessons, see here, my iron was too hot. So it shouldn't have affected this because this is not the sticky side, but it just kind of melted there. So then I use the pressing sheet to place it down. So once the next step for me is going to be stitching all around here on this. See this line here, the solid line. I'm going to stitch all the way around here, all the way until I get back to where I started. And then I'm just going to turn it inside out like this. Once it's turned inside out, then I'm going to put this right in the middle of the black border and iron it down. So if you want to see that final step, tune in on Monday at 4 next week. All right, Raylene, that's all I got.
I think I could even make those.
It's so easy. It was so
Yeah.
fun.
It's fun.
Although I actually read the pattern, Brenda read it for me.
Oh, good, because I don't have time to read it. Will Brenda read it for me too?
Yes. Well, I just gave you an amazing demo, so you don't
Yes.
need to read the pattern.
Yes. You know, it was one of the most amazing demos I've ever seen.
Okay, good. I like to hear that.
Okay, guys, we're going to give you the secret word for today, and then we're going to take questions. So if you're new with this again, today I've got 3 door prizes that I'll be giving out. There are 3 Notions goodie bags, but it's nothing that I showed. So you don't have to go, oh, I want to wait and see if I won before I order, because it's all different things than what I showed. So in a minute here, I'm going to give you the secret word. If you're new with this, all you do is type it in the comments section one time and then check back tomorrow morning. I would say probably by 10 o'clock Pacific time. I'll do it first thing in the morning. And go to our Facebook page, Wild Wednesday Live, and the very first post there'll be a bright thing that says winner. And that's the post you want to look at to see if you are a winner, and it tells you what to do if you are. So, okay, you guys ready? Get ready. Today's word is super easy because it's coming. It's fall. Fall. You don't even have to type 4 letters and you're done. Okay, so while you guys are all getting that typed in, and Ron's switching it over so it'll scroll here, but you shouldn't need fall scrolling. That's pretty easy. Now he's like shaking his head no. So if you have any questions for either me or Beth, now would be the time to type them in as soon as you're done typing fall. And while y'all doing that too, I just remind you that Beth will be at PIQF October 13th, 14th, or 13th through the 16th. And that's in I know, I'm sorry. But she's like, you don't remind me. Anyway, up in California, I forget the town, Santa Clara, California. I will not be there, but Beth will be. And then I will be in Tucson, November 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then the weekend after that, Beth and Adele will be in Puyallup. I will not be. And I guess I may as well kind of let the cat out of the bag too, what's going on with us. Just because I would kind of hate for you guys to be waiting to see us and then we don't show up. But Ron and I are actually finally getting off the road after years and years and years.
What?
So
You said that out loud.
I know, I said it out loud. That makes it true. That makes it true. I actually just told the promoters at Quilt Craft Sew at the last show, so that made it official. We have just got to a point, and we've just been so blessed, and our acrylic business and our online sales are enough that we don't have to be gone from home all the time. And a lot of you guys know we have a new grandchild coming in 2 months and 4 days now. So, or actually more like 7 weeks and 4 days, less than 2 months. So we don't want to be on the road for that. We don't want to miss all that fun. So we will not be doing shows after March. At this point, we will be doing Tucson, Phoenix in January, Yuma, Arizona Guild Show in January, and possibly Sacramento in March. That one's still up in the air. But I just want to give you guys a heads up because I would hate that you're waiting to get your supplies and then I'm not there. We will eventually be getting completely out of the Notion side of the business as we sell through everything. But I would say we're probably looking at, at least 6 months before that happens. So anyway, I just want to give you a heads up on that. So again, if you have any questions, go ahead and type them in now and Beth and I will try to get them answered.
OMG. Adele, it makes me so sad too. I think Raylene is hoping that just me and you will continue to do the live shows from the road and she can just sit back and
oh yeah, I can just set it all up.
Yeah,
yep.
That's what I hear is happening.
Oh, I see a question. Okay. Leanne Joy says, Friction pen question. You said after reheating it a few times, it never comes back. Also use it for embroidery. Actually, no, what I was saying about the heat, about it coming back is sometimes if you're in a climate or maybe your house is just really cold, after you heat erase it, it might come back sporadically, lightly in a few places. And if that happens, then just hit it again. But what we are finding as far as the refrigerator is if you store them in the fridge and you keep them cool, they just don't dry out as fast. So hopefully that answered your question. And then Shirley had a question about how many chrome needles should I have for embroidery and regular sewing. However many needles you normally would buy, you're going to go through about as many as you would your regular needles. So I don't really know of a rule of thumb at that. Our rule of thumb technically is every time you start a new project, put in a new needle. I know we don't always all do that. Let's see. Anybody else have any questions? Julie, I think that's for Beth.
Okay, so I have not priced the kits yet because we actually just made them. So we'll have those ready at 4 o'clock on our regular sale. But if you just need the Quilt Smart pattern, which has great photos step by step, and it includes 4 of the placemat interfacings, that's $24. Or you can get just the interfacing, and it's I thought I marked it. It's $5.75 for 2 placements. And it's fusible, so it does all the work for you. If you want just the pattern, the only is $14.50. Honestly, though, with my great demo that you can rewatch for the rest of your life, right here on Wednesday Live, you probably don't need the pattern. I'm just saying.
Oh, Leander, I see what your question was now. I'm sorry. So what you're wondering, because others may be as well, is you make someone a gift, goes in the airplane in the wintertime, and it ships to them through UPS, FedEx, or whatever, gets cold, line comes back, they open it up, and there's line in it. I think that's what you're asking. I would, if it were me, I probably, whatever you made, I'd stick it in the fridge for a few minutes and see if the lines come back so you can remove them. But that's a good question. I haven't had to worry about that because I never get anything finished that I'm making for someone. But hopefully that answers your question better. And Adele, I see yes, you can handle it. You guys can totally handle it. And you never know where I might pop up too.
Okay. All right. My security guy's here. So join us at 4 and then we can answer all your questions. Julie, if you just want to make one placemat, call me, but not right now. Give me about a half hour. Call me and we'll put together whichever kit you want.
Yeah. And Linda ABC, not really sure how that's going to work just yet, but we'll let you know. Believe me, you guys are always going to be the first to know what we're doing. So I think we need to get off of here. I know I got to get going. Beth's got to get going, but be sure you tune in later for Beth's live sale because she always has some good deals, and I have to miss it today, so I'm sad.
That's okay. If you miss it, you can always watch it through Saturday and order.
I know. Thanks for telling me. That's great. All right, guys. We don't have a studio show next week because remember, we're backing down because we're so busy. So the next time we're going to be in studio is the first Wednesday of whatever the next month is, October. But check wildwednesdaylive.com. Our Facebook page always has our schedule and a lot of other great information on it. So I guess that's it, Beth.
Okay. See you later.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Okay, see you.